It's fantasy football time. The Gunroo Fantasy Podcast of Champions. This is your host, Connor, Mr. Poopy, Mr. 1-4, Mr. Can't Buy a Win, but Mr. Has a Little Hope Now. I say that because the only way that you are hearing this podcast is if a trade goes through between Brian and I. I think it's probably the first top draft picks being traded or top players being traded in this league in probably the past 6 years. I honestly can't remember the last one. But I had to promise a lot of hamburgers. I had to hold this podcast hostage in order to get that trade pushed through. And honestly, that's the whole reason why I started this podcast, was to have a little bit of leverage throughout the season, to keep this on the air, to keep people engaged, and to also get my way. So honestly, it's worked out swimmingly. But the facts remain the same. I am way too busy to be doing this. But if I was to go 1-6 or 1-5, then I would be really too busy to continue doing this. But now, getting Gabe Davis, DeAndre Swift, I have a little bit of hope. And hope is a good thing and also a dangerous thing, because who knows, I could also be 2-7 very quickly. And then again, maybe holding this podcast hostage once again, just to get myself kicked out of the league, so I don't have to put myself through this anymore. But really, the whole reason why, obviously I don't want to trade Jalen Hurts, but watching him squander his talents with the rest of my squad was just not fair to him as a player. I was consistently scoring. 83 was my lowest score and 93 was my highest score, not getting me pushed over the edge. And so I need some real game breakers, and I think Gabe and Swift might do that. And honestly, my only chance of sniffing the playoffs at this point is going on a run, a not a sprint, not 1 or 2 wins in a row, but a long Kenyan-style Boston Marathon type of dominance where I go 7 or 8 wins in a row. That's really my only chance. And so for the people I bribed with cheeseburgers not to veto, I thank you. And the other ones that didn't veto out of just love, I love you as well. But we are going to get this podcast up and going. We got interviews with the matchup of the week, which is Cullen versus Spencer. If you've been following along in the chat, it is heating up. We are going to try the first ever 3-way call, Royal Rumble style shit talk fest. Trying to get that organized is like trying to corral greased pigs. It has been basically impossible. Spencer was MIA last night as we were trying, and I think he was scared, honestly. I think he was scared to have the verbal throwdown. He said he was available at 7 a.m. this morning. This is Thursday morning, and that's not going to work. So we're hoping tonight we can get that done. But this could all be for naught. There could be a 11th hour veto happening. And in that case, I would have played Carson Wentz, and Jalen Hurts will be on my bench, which that will hurt. And then no one will ever hear this, and the podcast will dissolve into nothing. But if I have a little bit of hope, I can find the time in my busy schedule to spend an hour and a half recording this and getting it out to the world. But without further ado, we have the Rapid Recap. Rapid Recap, starting off with the matchup of the week. Trim keeps me away from 2 wins from Breece Hall's breakout game, getting him 25 points, and Travis Kelce bookends it Monday, 25 yards but 4 touchdowns.
Big concerning moment, though, for Trim. James Conner with a rib injury. He is just stockpiling injuries, and I gotta say, I don't feel too bad for Trim. Myself, Jalen Hurts gets me 27, but not enough, so he is getting shipped off to Brian. My bad luck on defenses against Trim continues. I play Denver D. They get me 16.5. Great game, but Dallas defense goes for 24. Moving on to Griffin. Nyheim Hines goes down Thursday night. First drive gets him 0.8. Josh Allen saves Griffin because Conklin gooses. Kansas City defense goes negative, and Allen's 40 propels him over Vaughn, who Vaughn starts Teddy Bridgewater instead of Kirk Cousins. Teddy goes out in the opening drive, concussion, so it makes up for the Hines play. But if he would have played Kirk, who had 23, Vaughn would have won this week, and I would have been sitting miserably in last place. Vaughn gets 24 from Cook, but squanders it away. Moving on to Cullen. Cullen plays Jordan, who Jordan, we all know, put up sub 34 points, which is honestly hard to do. His whole team doesn't even break 50 this week. You're going to want to take that one, flush it down the toilet, and watch it go down the bowl. We do have to remember that Jordan's 2 quarterbacks he drafted, Trey Lance, out for the season, and Tua likely retired. Definitely not helping Jordan. But Cullen wins with big games from Henry, getting him 25, Devontae Adams getting 28 points in an assault charge, and Cleveland D goes negative. But like I said, Jordan put up 34, so Cullen could have sat half his team. Moving on to Prestige Worldwide, Austin. He gets 14.9 out of Andrews, getting him 89 yards and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs looking like the steal of the draft with 25 points. CMC could possibly become unleashed, either traded or the new coach is going to go, hey, let's get that guy the ball early and often. Monty gets 14 points on Austin's bench, coming off an injury, but lucky for him, he looks like he's back to his normal self. Casey somehow puts up 80 points with his team just completely plagued with injuries. He gets 19 points from Jeff Wilson and 20 from Folk. But big news for Casey, Eno Mini Miny Mo. More carries to come for Eno Benjamin. Who knows how long James Conner is out. Huntley, my trade partner and new best friend. He gets Jalen Hurts because Russell Wilson sucks, and the sucking continues. Gabe Davis gives Brian a going away present, wins him his week, getting him 33 points on a couple of bombs. Craig Reynolds and Dion whatever from Indy both put up 9 points for Brian somehow, even though I'm pretty sure they don't make other teams. Moving on to Cam. The Mangler gets manged. Nick Chubb gives him a big game. Kupp gives him a big game, of course. Waller gives him a surprise ham sandwich. Hammy issue to start that game. Sits, gets him a goose. Danny Dimes goes sub 13 in a gritty game in London, but Danny Dimes does Danny Dimes things. Moving on to Dale Balzania. He loses his lucky penny for the year with a broken tibia. Lucky for him, Kamara is back, and DK Metcalf continues to go boom boom. Justin Tucker shows why he is the first kicker taken every year, putting up 17 points. And honestly, he would be my RB1 right now. He has more points than both Mixon and Zeke, which gives me a stomach ulcer. Moving on to my dad, the 3-time, puts up 119 points on the week, even with Higgins getting him a big 0, sitting with an ankle injury, and Lamar gets him 15. But Eckler is coming alive for 32. He goes for 199 and 2 touchdowns. He gets 17 points from the Omen, and both Carlson, his kicker, and Buffalo defense put up 17. But a big benefit for the 3-time is Penny going out and Ken Walker taking over that backfield and a green light to get every carry. Spencer goes boom boom on Steve for the high score of the week for 152, behind 30 points from Patrick Mahomes, 24 from Lockett, 25 from Lenny. Somehow Old Man Mostert gets him 18. Saquon gives him a scare but still puts up a big game. And San Francisco is the top defense on the year, give him 17.5. But the main problem in this matchup is the fact that Steve somehow loses going over 100 points. Taysom Hill, the cheat code, goes for 4 touchdowns and 36 fantasy points. Justin Jefferson and Diggs both go over 15, but you gotta feel for someone scoring over 100 points and losing by 50. That is just unreal. Better days ahead for Steve, possibly, who knows. I have Wentz now, so we have something to bond over. But folks, that is the end of the Rapid Recap. All right, Rapid Recap from Week 5 in the books. One thing I noticed when I'm looking through these matchups are interesting storylines, one of which, Vaughn, he benches Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins has been total cheeks all year. But Kirk goes for 23 points, which would have won Vaughn the week because Teddy Bridgewater gets knocked out in the opening series. Vaughn, if you're listening to this, we miss you in the chat, buddy. We don't want to see you go the way of Camrath and just completely ghost. But I get it. One win, things are looking bleak. It loses its fun. I almost didn't do this podcast until I had a glimpse of hope on a trade, or at least being able to look at new players. But hopefully brighter days ahead for you. We're going to get out of this basement, you and I, and we're going to see the sunshine one of these days. But moving on to the first Royal Rumble UFC style three-way call matchup of the week. Interview between Cullen and Spencer. Early morning shit talk. Thursday morning, about 8:50, the phone call takes place. Everyone is well rested and ready to unleash hellfire on each other. Get ready for the interview.
Hello, this is the two-time.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I got to try to call Spencer here. Three-way call. Let's see. You might just have to hold for a second. Oh, God. I got two numbers for Spencer. Dear Lord.
Of course you do.
I'm going to hope it's this one. Let's see. I can't believe I even have one number for Spencer. Call?
Yes, this is the two-time.
I'm going to have to call you back. I'm going to call you in a second. I got to find out what number it's Spencer's.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Well, here, never mind. I'm on. I'm just going to try the other one. Are you still on?
Yeah.
I can't believe I have two numbers for Spencer, let alone one.
Yeah,
All right.
have zero.
Here we go.
Hello?
Is this Spencer?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Colin, are you there?
This is the two-time.
It's matchup of the week. All right, we got to lay some ground rules here just for listeners' well-being. It's going to be a one-person talk, next person rebuttal. And you can freelance, you can talk about whatever you want, but I'm going to start with the biggest, the biggest question for me looking at your matchup is this goes to Spencer. Spencer, do you think there is just a truckload more pressure on you to beat Cullen this week, seeing as though his top two picks have a bye week? Or do you think the pressure's on Cullen to win?
I think the pressure is really on Cullen because he needs to squeak by with this win. Because if he doesn't, I have quite a bit more points than him. I'd say the pressure's on Cole.
Geez, some fireworks coming out from Spencer here.
Nice job, Spencer.
I just hand it to you on a silver platter, and you just dump the food everywhere. All right, so somehow the pressure is on Cullen despite not having Devontae Adams and Derrick Henry.
Both providing no big example of why that is. They both accumulate for about, at least 40 points together a week for Cullen's team, who's been putting up about 100 points a week. So minus 40 points, let's say 60, but then maybe his other players get 5, so then he's scoring about 70 points.
That's your. So that is that a Spencer hot take prediction right now that Cullen scores sub 80 points this week?
But then he's got Ramondre with no Harris, so it could be a bump up to maybe 10. So
10?
I'd say about 80 points.
Okay, so we got an 80-point score. Cullen, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, number one, my roster is very strong this week. Very strong roster. Ramondre against Cleveland. Only Ramondre getting touches there. Fuck Pierre Strong. Fuck JJ, whatever the fuck, Taylor. The only person I'd really be worried about is if Ty Montgomery got taken off the IR, but then I'm really still not worried because Ramondre's getting 20-plus touches this week, and that's just it. And he could easily have 2 touchdowns. Cleveland, they did just bring in Deion Jones from Atlanta or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Pro Bowl type player. But, they've been getting run on all year. And then Melvin Gordon against the Chargers, again, another team that's been run on. Prime time, maybe a little revenge game for Melvin.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that even.
I really think, I really think my team's underperformed all year. And you got George Pickens really starting to fucking emerge as number one, a favorite of Pickett, but also just number 2, like flashing like superstar type highlight reel catches every week. He's sitting there projected at under sub 6 points. So I look forward to shoving all of those sub 6 points and then some up Spencer's ass this week. He's got Pitts going against San Fran. He's playing San Fran. I don't really think Spencer knows what he's doing. He's got Mostert, who didn't practice last week. Number one, I hope he plays Mostert, but number 2, Mostert might not even fucking play. So if he plays Mostert doesn't play, that's definitely not good.
You don't think the Mostert injury is just a rest day for the 42-year-old running back?
No, because Myles Gaskin got ticked late in that game. I think he got nicked up late in that game last week.
Okay.
So I think he's legit hurt.
How sad is it that Myles Gaskin gets to work over Chase Edmonds? Dear God Almighty.
Well, I think it'd be sad for a soon-to-be Chase Edmonds owner.
Yeah, and then of course, I'm looking at Mostert not practicing, and I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I'm trading Chase, Edmonds away, and he might actually get some run. I think it's going to come out at the end of the year that Chase Edmonds' groin injury was a lot more severe than what they were letting on.
I didn't even know he injury.
Yeah, it was like after the draft, I saw that he had missed some preseason with a groin injury, which was great. I have gone radio silence on the podcast I listen to because those guys are to blame for my Chase Edmonds pick and my Cole Kmet pick, and they won't return any of my calls or letters or flaming bags of shit I've sent to their offices. But yeah, I've gone. Huh?
Speaking of Cole Kmet,
yeah.
Spencer not stacking at this time, not stacking Juju with Patrick Mahomes against Buffalo. He's got Terry McLaurin slotted in to go up against Chicago tonight. We'll see Cole Kmet in that game. We'll also see McLaurin shitting his pants, potentially in the locker room all night.
Yep.
I would say that this is probably McLaurin's boom game. His first big game.
Would you say it's his boom boom game? I think you've trademarked that phrase, Spencer.
Yeah, I think he's going to go boom boom tonight.
Franny agrees. She's sitting here. She's getting her diaper changed, and she just went boom boom. That might be telling for this week ahead for McLaurin. But yeah, this is what's your guys' record? Are they the same right now?
4-1.
Spencer
4-1. I don't know how.
Wow. Okay. So this is a big matchup of the week.
He says, I don't know how, but I think I have a lot more points than him.
Spencer, you're going to have to win the league 3 years in a row before anybody gives you any sort of credit.
Oh, I know.
Myself included.
A lot more than 3 years.
A lot more than 3. Yeah, it's just going to be a decade of dominance before any credit is thrown your way.
Completely lucked into the Tyler Lockett play last week.
Yeah.
Hope he fucking runs it back this week.
Oh, Gino has been balling.
He doesn't well.
The regression is definitely coming. I mean, Gino's not in the league for 8 years, not getting an opportunity to come out this year and play this way all season long. There will be regression, and it will be this week, and Lockett will not be doing a goddamn thing.
Well, we will see. I'm excited to see how the chat unfolds. Franny is just sneezing into my phone right now, which is great. I'm not sure if you heard that. She's heavily involved in the pod right now.
Who's Franny taking this week in the matchup of the week?
We'll see. Let's ask her. Franny, who do you got this week?
Sound like the time.
Yeah. It sounded like she's a big Pickens fan, I think, this week. I think Pickens has his coming out party against Tampa. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it would be pretty devastating for Spencer to lose to Cullen without Adams and Henry. It could be a real big morale just bomb to his team. They might not be able to recover.
Well, yeah, and I really do think that it would have been unfair had I been full strength. Having Devontae and Henry in my lineup against Spencer this week, it really wouldn't have, we wouldn't have been on matchup of the week. The only reason we're talking, today is because I am shorthanded. So I think it's good for the league. It'll be good for my guys to, it's next man up mentality.
Yep.
Come out there, take care of business, beat a fraud of a playoff contender right now. And just come out of week 6 with a lot of confidence moving forward for the rest of the season. Forward to it.
Yeah, Spencer. So, in this and even in the draft, you remain relatively quiet. I think you are I don't know if I'd say giant, but you are a sleeping giant, I would say. You're kind of a silent, I wouldn't say assassin, but you're a silent, a silent shit talker, I would say. You kind of let the game happen and then slowly start to come alive.
Well,
do you have anything to say about that you kind of you don't like to bring the shit talk, but you just let your performance on the field handle it?
Yes. That's exactly what I do. I let Cullen, like last week, shit talk almost every single one of my players. And every time he does, they fucking explode. So it's awesome.
So is this a strategy of yours then? Is it like a superstition, like not changing your socks or something? You just let Cullen bash your team, and that's actually a good thing?
Every time Cullen bashes one of my players, they go off. So I just sit back and let it happen.
Okay. Interesting strategy.
Hey, Spencer. Is it good that David Ajabo is back at practice this week and slated to make his NFL debut against the Giants this week? Is that a good thing for Barkley? Also, Bowser back at practice, linebacker for Baltimore. Is that a good thing for Barkley, would you say? That Baltimore is getting healthy on defense and, also the fact that New York Giants don't have anybody else to go to. Do you see that as a positive?
I do, because Barkley's getting the ball 25 more times.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if that was a good thing for Barkley or not. I'm glad you clarified that for me.
Man, the Barkley scare last week, we have to bring that up. Oh, my God. I can't imagine just the Spencer kept it pretty cool and collected in the chat, but I'm sure internally it was just rumble guts and potential diarrhea from seeing him get into the tent and then immediately go into the locker room. Maybe he had to take a poop. It's hard to tell what happened there, but wow, that would have been a real shitty way to end the week.
And then he came back out with 100 yards and 4. I was not worried.
Surprised to not see Brightwell on his roster this week, Connor.
True, yeah. I might have to run and snag him real fast while we're recording this. Try to.
Well, you have to make room. You have to get rid of Heineke, probably.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to do that. I'm a little worried about Wentz. And yeah, if the trade doesn't go through, no one's going to hear this, which will be a real shame. Because we've had some electrifying stuff said here on the first Royal Rumble matchup of the week.
What I'll say about the trade, Connor, is that the only thing I could think is maybe there's some people that haven't even looked, and they're going to go on their roster. No, I'm serious. They're going to go in on their roster to set their lineups before Thursday.
Yeah.
And you should get a late veto.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm doing anything, because I'm not.
Uh-huh.
But I would be. It's going to be real shitty if you play Wentz and then they fucking veto that trade.
Oh, I know. I have used my my Coney reach to confirm some non-vetoes via cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling pretty good, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets vetoed last minute.
If you got Casey and Cam in your pocket with the free burgers, I think they're going to be all right. But I do think that you're probably sitting on 7 or 8 vetoes right now. So really, all it would take is, Cam to come get his free hamburger today and be like, "Fuck Connor, I'm vetoing."
Well, I tried.
Do about it.
I tried to text Cam, and it came up iMessage instead of getting through. So shocking. I have been able to wrangle up some other league members. Austin vetoing it. That hurt, seeing as though there's no way Brian, if you're sitting in a top position like Austin and you're scared of Brian's team somehow, that's not great for the morale of your squad. If you're worried about
that's bad juju.
If you're worried about Mark Ingram playing behind Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara, and then worried about Chase Edmonds coming off a one handoff, that's not great. So yeah, I'm hoping it goes through. Dear God. That's my only hope is that I can rattle off 6 or 7 wins in a row to try to get into playoff contention. We shall see.
Well, one thing we should do though, I don't really think it'd be fair if you play Wentz with the idea that you're gonna get rid of Hurts. Like you maybe want to be preemptive and talk to Griff. I wouldn't be against if you started Wentz, but then your trade got vetoed, allowing you to play Hurts.
That would be
fair.
Yeah, it would be unlucky.
Well, it'd be worse than unlucky.
Yeah,
it'd be unfair.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't think even with Hurts this week, I don't think I beat my dad.
But still,
that's why
still point total.
Oh yeah. And that's why I wanted Gabe Davis, was for the potential of an explosion against Kansas City. I mean, if Devontae Adams, obviously he's a better wide receiver than Gabe Davis, but he got loose, for a couple bombs. So Kansas City is capable of letting someone sneak past the secondary. So we'll have to cross our fingers for that trade to go through. But yeah, I'm gonna thank you guys for being available this morning. I am putting off prep right now at the Coney. Usually I try to get there around 9, so I'm going to be a little late. But that's for the pod. So,
go fuck yourself, Spencer.
Yeah, any
one of your players fucking dies.
Okay, so any last minute hot takes? Cullen wishes death upon Spencer's entire lineup. Spencer, you have anything to say?
I want to ask Cullen what one player on my roster that he's worried about this week.
Okay.
One player on your roster?
Yep.
I'm not worried about your team at all this week, so
okay.
Not worried about Mahomes coming out and having to match Josh Allen?
No. I mean, I think Mahomes will get his, but I don't know. I feel like it's just such a hard-fought game. I don't think it's a stat game. I mean, he'd probably get his 25, whatever he's projected, maybe 30, but I don't think he'll go out and put up like Lamar 50 burger or something. I mean, if he does, then yeah, I'll be in trouble. But I'm fucking due, boys. My team is fucking overdue, even without Adams and Henry. Like, I'm going to splash some points, and it's just a matter of time. And I got good matchups this week, Spencer. So I'm sure if I asked you that question, you'd have a very hard time just picking one person.
No,
I mean, Barkley's the only player that I'm worried about. I mean, he's the only one that's got a good ceiling. I'm not worried about your receivers.
Yeah, the only person I'm worried about for you is
Razor,
and that's about it.
All right, guys. Well, I wish you both bad luck this week. No, hopefully it's a hard-fought game within a couple points to make it interesting in the chat. I will say, Travis Kelce scoring 4 touchdowns against me last week, that was kind of the best-case scenario for my mental health. Because if he would have beaten me by, 4 points or something, I would have been in just a pit of despair. So I was hoping he scored 6 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns is fucked up, though. I remember
Oh, my God.
the last time a tight end put up, over 2 touchdowns like that, I had Larry Donnell for the New York Giants put up 3 touchdowns in prime time against Griff. And, anytime you get, it's 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, that's just, that was gross. When I saw that, I'm like, damn,
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, hey, Kelsey's no Taysom Hill, but he did his best.
Jesus.
Yeah, crazy. Well, all right, guys.
With the rest of the pod.
Yep. I'll have it ready to go. I already got my intro. I just need the rapid recap and a little other, here and there's. But yeah, it'll be ready tomorrow as long as that trade goes through. Otherwise, this gets deleted off the face of the planet, never to be heard from.
Thank you, Connor. Fucking Spencer. See you guys.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Whatever, Spencer. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. The first 3-way call matchup of the week in the books. I think that's how we're going to have to do it for the rest of the year is the 3-way call. It might be tough to try to get everybody on the same schedule, but we got to make time. It adds to it. It's nice to have the back and forth, the shit talk bouncing. Hopefully Spencer is not involved in the shit talking in a further date because he likes to play it coy. He's going to keep it quiet. He's going to wait until the game gets underway. And he's going to use that shit talking against him as bulletin board material, slap it on the locker room, showing his players that, the other team thinks they're shit. So that's an interesting shit talking strategy from Spencer. But good stuff from both of them. It should be a good matchup. But you gotta, Spencer thinks for whatever reason the pressure is on Cullen to win, despite having his first 2 picks on bye. So it's gonna get interesting. I feel for Spencer if he's losing for the shitstorm that will be happening in the chat of Cullen and just the. There's got to be Pickens' gif. It's going to be the gif of Pickens just staring at the TV screen with the baklava on in a T-shirt. We're going to see that 45 times this week if Pickens goes off. But I think, you know what, that might do it for this pod. And again, I'm hoping you all hear this. I'm hoping we have the ability to hear this, and that means that this trade has gone through. And I have hope. Brian has hope. The world is right. Trades have somewhat come back into the fold. I got to say, sitting here and being in this limbo of not knowing if it's being vetoed and not knowing if it's going to go through has got to be a high that cannot be matched by any natural or synthetic element. It is strictly adrenaline of a possible changing of the guard on your team. And I wish it for all of you. I wish you all could experience this. I think we should trade more. Just trade at random and trade your best players to me. I think that would work out for everybody, and especially me. For the people who I have promised cheeseburgers and Coney food to, come in and collect. I'll be happy to do it. everyone in the league should be thanking you for hearing this podcast, because without your contribution, this would not be happening. So I have to thank you for the Gunroo Fantasy Podcast of Champions Fall Coney fundraiser that you were a part of. So good luck this week, everybody. This pod will be uploaded possibly Friday morning. We'll see if this trade goes through. I'll be checking at 3:15 tonight to make sure it processes. But that is going to be the completion of the Gunroo Fantasy Podcast of Champions.